It is now time for the super character tier list. We're going to be going over all the characters in their super form inside of Squad Busters. Let's get into it. Starting off with the commons, we're going to be going with the see, this one is really hard because like this is when a lot of the commons get really good, but honestly I'm gonna go Greg in the D tier. If you have Greg as an option and you're not on a supplier map like Loot Goblin Rush, Loot Surge, whatever the case might be, if Greg's your starting choice, he's still not a bad choice, right? Like when I'm putting these in the D tier, there's no F tier because there's no like really bad characters in the game, right? Like you can get value out of every character in Squad Busters so far, which I really do like. So I'm just putting Greg in the D tier. In the C tier, we're going to be going with the Goblin because the Goblin is actually going to be able to provide a really good amount of value. I'm putting Mavis behind the Goblin in the C tier. So Greg in his super form doesn't really add much value besides the trees dropping more loot like I'd mentioned, but then the Goblin in his super form will give you 6 coins, and then when you fuse the Goblin you get 15 extra coins on top of that. So when you get 3 goblins together and you fuse them, you're gonna get a total of 33 coins for free. So that is where the Goblin can come in handy. And then Mavis on the other side of it, the carrots picked will also heal the squad. If you're low on health, Mavis can count as a healer and a supplier. So that's why Mavis is above Greg in terms of that, because she's also gonna be able to get you a good amount of loot and be able to heal up your squad, which is why Mavis is in the C tier. And I'm gonna go with the chicken at the top of the C tier. If I can, come on, squeeze it in. Here you go. There we go. All right. Chicken going in the C tier because the boots, you get 2 boots with the chicken. You can get insane value again. If you're not in a speed modifier, whether it's turbo overload or golden boots, then you want to make sure you're getting at least 1 fusion chicken. So that way you can get a good amount of speed to help you maneuver and escape and engage with battles and attack faster, things like that. Chicken is super underrated, I think, but he's not like a must-have pick in every single game mode versus some of the other characters that we're going to be going over. So in the B tier, I'm honestly putting Colt in the B tier as well as Shelly. I don't like, they were A tier before, but honestly, I think once you're at the point where you're getting a lot of supers, I think there are better options with your supers than Colt and Shelly. Colt and Shelly are good universal all-around attackers. I think they're pretty decent, but I'm putting them in the A tier. I find myself picking other characters much more frequently. If you need a Colt or a Shelly, like if those are your options, they're not bad by any means. They're just kind of middle of the pack, good damage dealers. Shelly in her super form is able to shoot a second barrel with her normal attacks, so that increases her damage quite a bit. So she's pretty decent there. But then Colt on the other side is Bulletstorm, just deals much more damage. So he's going to be able to put out a lot more. But I think there are other abilities that you get with super characters that allow you to get a little bit more value than you normally would. We have Primo in the top of the B tier. Again, Primo is just kind of middle of the pack, average guy. Flying Elbow does more damage. He's able to provide some pretty good value. Again, 2800 HP, one of the tankiest units in the game. Can't go wrong with Primo, but I think he's just kind of mid tier. And then Barbarian, we're going to be putting Barbarian in the A tier. I still think Barbarian's A tier. When paired with another Barbarian, he automatically goes elite, which will help you get more damage, be a little bit more tanky and everything like that. So I do think that in terms of Barbarian, he's still going to be in the A tier. And then Trader, we're actually going to be moving up to the B tier. So Trader is an interesting one because like Trader as himself, right? He's got 1600 health, it does 100 damage. So mid tier in health, mid tier in damage, but the Trader at his super form does become an actual winning strategy. I slept on the Trader for a while and then I just tried it out in a bunch of games. I still think in his classic and his baby form, definitely not worth it. But when you get to the super form, it gives 2 gems for every 15 coins collected. If you're able to stock up on 2 fusion traders and you have suppliers. So this is going to be the strategy. If you have Trader paired with Goblins, Mavis, and Greg, or 2 out of the 3. If you have 1 out of the 3, maybe you don't want to go with the strategy, maybe Goblins. But typically when you have 2 or more suppliers, that's when you're going to want to go with the Trader, and you have the Trader as an option. So the Trader is a viable winning strategy because when it's fused, you're going to get 6 gems for each fusion. So that means you're going to get 12 gems every time you collect 15 coins. So having Mavis, having Greg, having Goblin, you're just going to be rolling in the gems. And you could just disengage from fights and just continuously farm up and supply your army and just win solely based on getting the trader health. So the strategy I like to go for with trader, which is what I think makes him B tier, is again the 2 suppliers or more, so either Goblin, Mavis, or Greg, then trader of course, and then if you have the Barbarian King as well, because these are all, except Mavis, these are all melee attackers. So the Barbarian King will boost their attack speed, which means you can defend yourself a little bit better. So that's why I'm putting trader in the B tier with the super form, because having those extra gems is actually a viable winning strategy for you, which makes things very interesting. At the back of the A tier, I'm putting bow. The bow's mines that you get with the super form, really solid option for you. The bow mines are super helpful. You can just line up a bunch of mines in one area and get a good amount of damage. So I'm putting bow in the back of the A tier, and then heavy, putting at the top of the A tier, heavy in his super form. It increases the max shooting speed, which means you're able to heal quicker and shoot quicker. Heavy, max super form, very solid. Heavy is just like an all-around consistently solid unit. Now let's move on to the rares. So rares, unfortunately, still putting my boy Dynamite in the D tier. I don't think Dynamite is that good. Doesn't really provide a lot of value. I don't know. It's just kind of meh. I think Wizard's better than Dynamite. Dynamite can give you a decent amount of splash damage in Doppelganger. Like if you're attacking a swarm of units or you're trying to engage in a squad and you're looking to get some quick damage, Dynamite's a decent option, but that's really about it. I don't find him very valuable at all, in my opinion. We're putting Medic in the C tier, top of the C tier. Medic at his super form will be able to have the passive heals get stronger and faster, but I'm putting Medic at the top of the C tier because I think, no, let's put him at the bottom of the B tier. Bottom of the B tier here. Borderline top, bottom, doesn't really matter. Pam, same thing. I'm putting Pam above. In her super form, she also gives you the heal station spell, which is super important, especially if you compare it with a wizard, so that way you can have a damage spell and a healing spell. Then Pam is a little bit more viable because then she kind of carries the value that the medic can't provide in those situations. So I'm putting Pam above medic as a super because she's able to give you that heal spell. Nita, we're putting in the A tier as well, probably above the Barbarian. Range attacker, summons, and Bruce, you know, able to provide that pretty solid value. We're putting the B. Let's put B in the A tier, like probably right around with Nita. B with her ability to just have the bees swarm and they also last longer. Really solid to be able to have that much damage with the 3 bees just swarming around you consistently, pretty much for a good chunk of the game. Wizard, we're putting at the bottom of the A tier. I think Wizard is a super slept on unit. Again, in its classic form, it gives you the ability to get a second spell. In its super form, it allows monsters to drop random spells. And again, Wizard paired with Pam, especially with the super form, increases the value of the Wizard just by association and by like the grouping strategy that you can get by building your squad. So I would definitely recommend getting Wizard if you can. Just every game, having that second spell, super helpful. Doesn't hurt to have that. And the fact that you can get random spells from monsters is also extremely helpful if you run out of spells or you just engaged or just disengaged from a fight and you're going to farm up some monsters. There's a chance that you could replenish your spell slots by taking down those monsters. So Wizard does add a pretty decent amount of value. Hog Rider, I'm putting at the top of the A tier. Hog Rider being able to have the turbo last longer and all the other benefits that you get from the Hog Rider's previous abilities, but the fact that the turbo can last longer with the super form is very impactful. So I think it's a really good option to always go with the Hog Rider, because especially if you're not going with Chicken, then you want to make sure your turbo is lasting as long as possible. So Hog Rider gives that really good value for being a good DPS and a decent amount of HP as well. Then in the S tier for the rares, I think I gotta put Penny and I gotta put Tank. Tank is solid, especially when you're able to start with Overdrive. She's able to get a ton of damage off. I think Tank is a super solid unit. And then Penny, again, in her classic form, she's able to give you keys or a chance to get keys from the treasures. And then also with her super form, she gives you heart. She heals your squad. So now not only is she high DPS with 230 damage, a decent amount of HP as a ranged attacker, and she's also basically a supplier with the treasure maps you can get by getting gems or gold. She can also give you a chance to get free keys to get a new free member of your squad, and she's going to heal up your squad. Penny just provides so much value. And then the tank, ton of DPS. When the tank goes into a tank, and even if somebody busts a tank, the tank unit herself pops back out of the tank and still fights for you. She doesn't do a lot when she's out of her tank form, but the fact that there's just that like extra buffer for you is super important. So tank is a very solid unit in my opinion. Moving into the epics, Royale King D tier. I don't really see no, you know what, I'm gonna put him top of C tier because he does get the elite royal delivery spell, extra unit to go down. It can be a distractor in close situations, but there are better spells that you can get. But the value that the Royal King gets individually with that elite recruit spell, I'll put the King in the C tier, but he's still kind of mid, honestly. Battle Healer, we're putting top of B tier. Increases the health boost to 600. Able to heal when your squad opens a chest. Pretty decent value. One of the better healers in my opinion. But again, interchangeable with Pam. She also has a really good amount of health, so she's able to be a pretty decent tank for you as well. Mortis, I'm putting in the back of the A tier. No, let's put him mid A tier. He's able to revive 4 monsters, and again, that classic form lets those revived monsters turn into bats, so you can get some really good value from Mortis. And he's got a decent amount of DPS, 175, and he's got 1700 HP, so just kind of middle of the pack. He's a really good all-arounder, but again, can revive units. Better than Barbarian, of course, but still, in my opinion, a little bit lower in the A tier, but a very solid option all around. Max, we're putting top of the A tier, along with, I'm putting Witch bottom of the S tier because Max top of the A tier. So Max in the super form actually adds a lot of value because the speed boost will charge faster, so you're able to move around a lot more quickly. If your speed boost runs out, you can charge it back up quicker. So really solid value for Max. She's got that 200 damage, 1100 HP, so not a lot of health, but does a really good amount of damage. And then the Witch gives you the skeleton spell, which is OP in Doppelganger and Double Trouble because you're able to get numerous amounts of spells with the Witch that allows you to spawn in like a skeleton army. Gives you that skeleton barrel spell, which can be super helpful in situations. So Witch, definitely bottom S tier in my opinion. And then of course we have the Barbarian King and the Archer Queen topping off the S tier because they are just all around fantastic units. In their super form, they're able to both heal up themselves when they're not attacking. So really solid options that you can get with the Barbarian King and the Archer Queen, who will recover the health steadily. So if you're not engaging in combat, they're healers of their own, so you don't really need to pair them with a healer. It's not required, but having a healer would obviously make that process go a little bit quicker. So that is going to be it for the epic or the super tier list. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you agree with this? Is there anything I completely missed the mark on? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.